Welcome to our deep dive, everyone, where we're going to try to decode English idioms.
Yeah.
You know those phrases that leave you kind of scratching your head? Like, what does that even mean?
Right.
By the end of this, you'll be using them like a native speaker.
Yeah.
Understanding those quirky sayings everyone throws around.
Yeah, for sure.
We've got like 22 lined up, so let's just jump in.
Yeah, those idioms are fascinating. They offer such a glimpse into a culture's history and shared humor.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Adds so much color.
Totally. It's like a secret language within a language.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of secrets, one of the most common idioms is spill the beans.
Oh, yeah.
Which is all about revealing something you weren't supposed to.
Right?
So picture this. You're at a surprise party and somebody accidentally mentions it to the guest of honor.
Oh, no.
Boom, beans spilled.
Yeah, the visual of that is so funny.
Right.
It really captures that feeling of a secret, just blurted out often unintentionally.
Right. And while we're on the topic of social situations, how about that awkward moment when you're meeting new people and trying to break the ice?
Oh, that's a classic.
Yeah.
Break the ice is all about starting a conversation, easing the tension, and getting people to connect.
So instead of just standing there awkwardly, you could try asking a question.
Yeah.
Or sharing a funny anecdote, or even offering a compliment.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to get that conversational ball rolling.
Exactly. It's about creating a more relaxed and open atmosphere.
All right, so we've navigated those initial introductions.
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine you're at work and somebody just perfectly summarized a complex problem.
Okay.
They really hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, that feeling when someone articulates exactly what you've been thinking.
Yes.
It's about precision, getting to the core of an issue.
It's like watching a skilled carpenter drive a nail straight in with a single powerful strike.
Yeah.
And sometimes getting things done right requires us to burn the midnight oil, right?
Oh, for sure.
Those late night work sessions, fueled by coffee and sheer determination.
I know those well. That image of working by the light of an oil lamp long after everyone else is asleep.
Yeah.
Really speaks to that extra effort we put in to achieve our goals.
Totally. But not all tasks are these like epic all-nighters. Sometimes something is so easy it's a piece of cake.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. It's interesting how we have multiple food-related idioms for ease.
Right.
Like easy as pie is another one.
Yeah.
I wonder if it reflects our love for indulging in treats. Either way, they both convey that sense of effortlessness.
Speaking of treats, some things definitely don't come easy when it comes to their price tag.
Oh, yeah.
They cost an arm and a leg.
This is one of those idioms where the imagery is so over the top.
Right.
It really drives home the point. Nobody's literally paying with body parts. But did you know this idiom might have roots in portrait painting?
Oh, really?
Back in the day, portraits that included limbs were considered more elaborate and therefore more expensive.
Wow. That's fascinating. I never knew that.
Yeah.
So paying a high price for a detailed painting, hence costing an arm and a leg?
It's amazing how these expressions evolve and reflect different aspects of history and culture.
Okay, let's shift gears from spending money to something we all do, sleep, when you're completely exhausted. You just want to hit the sack.
Oh, yeah, that feeling of collapsing onto your bed after a long day.
Yeah.
Like hitting the sack really captures that exhaustion.
And sometimes that exhaustion is because you're feeling a bit under the weather.
Not quite sick enough to be in bed all day, but definitely not feeling your best.
Right.
Like a gray, drizzly day.
Exactly. Now, for those times when you're super efficient and manage to accomplish two things at once, you kill two birds with one stone.
It's like that satisfying feeling when you plan your errands strategically and you get everything done in one trip.
Yeah.
You save time and effort, a double win. Have you ever managed to pull that off?
Oh, absolutely. Especially when grocery shopping.
Right.
I try to plan my route through the store so I'm not zigzagging back and forth.
Yeah.
Two birds, one stone. But then there are those times when you're putting in the effort, but going about it all wrong. You're barking at the wrong tree.
Oh, I can relate to that. I once spent hours trying to fix a problem with my computer, convinced it was a hardware issue. Turns out it was a simple software glitch that a quick restart solved. Talk about barking up the wrong tree.
Oh, that's frustrating. But at least you figured it out eventually.
Exactly. Sometimes those wrong turns lead us to the right path eventually. And speaking of things that happen rarely,
Okay.
those events that only occur once in a blue moon.
I love this idiom. It's so evocative, but do you think people always know the real science behind it?
You're right. It's actually based on a real astronomical event.
Oh, cool.
A blue moon is the second full moon within a calendar month. Which, as you can imagine, doesn't happen very often.
Right.
Hence the expression once in a blue moon for something that's rare.
That's so cool. Okay, let's talk about decision making. Now, there's that moment when You've presented all the options to someone,
Yeah.
and it's their turn to make a choice. The ball is in their court.
It's a great analogy drawing on the back and forth nature of a tennis match.
Yeah.
It signals that the responsibility has shifted and it's up to the other person to make a move.
And that can be a powerful moment, putting the decision squarely in their hands. But what about when someone just won't get to the point they're beating around the bush?
Yes, that frustrating dance of avoiding the main topic. Imagine trying to catch a bird by circling the bush instead of going straight for it. It's often a sign of discomfort or wanting to avoid a potentially difficult conversation.
Have you ever had to deal with someone who just wouldn't stop beating around the bush?
It certainly tests your patience.
It can be so hard to figure out what they're really trying to say.
But sometimes gently steering the conversation back to the main point can be helpful.
That's a good tip. Okay, let's talk about dealing with setbacks. Now, sometimes we just have to accept things we can't change.
Right.
No use crying over spilled milk.
This one really emphasizes letting go of what's in the past and focusing on moving forward.
It's like that moment when you realize you left your phone at home.
Oh, yeah.
Annoying.
Yeah.
Changeable.
Yeah.
Not really.
Right.
So you just have to adapt and move on.
Precisely. It's about focusing on what we can control. Now, what about those situations where we need like a burst of courage to face a challenge head on?
Okay.
That's where biting the bullet comes in.
I always thought that one was a bit intense.
The imagery is definitely strong. It originates from the practice of soldiers biting on a bullet during surgery before anesthesia was common.
Wow.
So it really conveys that grit and determination to endure something unpleasant for a greater good.
That makes so much sense, like facing a fear or making a tough decision. But sometimes you have to know when to walk away, right? To throw in the towel.
Exactly. It's like admitting defeat in a boxing match, recognizing when it's time to step back and reevaluate.
It's a tough call, knowing when to persist and when to call it quits.
Yeah.
But speaking of persistence, some people are just naturally good at staying focused and efficient. They're always on the ball.
It's that admirable quality of being alert, ready to act, and always a step ahead, like a top athlete anticipating the ball's movement on the field.
Right.
They're not just reacting, they're anticipating.
It's like they have this sixth sense for getting things done.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, some people try to take shortcuts, sacrificing quality for speed or cost.
Yeah.
They cut corners.
And that can be tempting in the short term, but it often leads to problems down the line. Imagine a builder using cheap materials to save money.
Okay, yeah.
The house might look fine initially,
Right.
but what happens when a storm hits?
Yikes. That's a recipe for disaster. It's a good reminder that true quality usually requires an investment.
Absolutely. Sometimes that extra effort up front saves you headaches later on.
Okay, ready to tackle a topic that can be a bit tricky.
All right.
Indecision. You know, those people who just can't seem to make up their minds.
Oh, yeah.
Who're sitting on the fence.
Straddling that line, unable or unwilling to choose a side, it can be from a fear of making the wrong choice, a desire to please everyone, or just a general lack of commitment.
It's like trying to order at a restaurant with a million options on the menu.
Yeah.
You go back and forth, maybe this, maybe that, and never actually make a decision.
Right. And sometimes that indecisiveness goes on for so long that it reaches a breaking point.
Okay,
That's when we get the last straw.
that final incident, that one tiny thing that pushes you over the edge, like when you're having a terrible day and then you spill coffee on your favorite shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Boom, last straw.
It's like adding straw to a camel's back until it finally gives way. That buildup of frustration or annoyance
Right.
can be a powerful catalyst for change.
It forces you to finally address a problem or make a decision. So we've covered a lot of ground: social interactions, work, dealing with setbacks, even the frustration of indecision. But before we wrap up, let's end on a positive note.
Okay.
Sometimes something that seems bad at first turns out to be a blessing in disguise.
Yes. That wonderful realization that a setback or disappointment actually led to something better.
Like missing your flight only to find out it was delayed for hours.
Oh, yeah.
Inconvenience at the time,
Yeah.
but it saved you from being stuck at the airport.
It's all about perspective.
Yeah.
Sometimes those unexpected twists and turns lead us to where we're meant to be.
Yeah, it's a good reminder to look for the silver linings even when things don't go as planned. But wow, we've covered so much ground today.
Yeah, we have.
It's amazing how these idioms we use every day hold so much depth and history.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey through the nuances of language we've explored. Idioms related to, like, social situations.
Right.
Work dealing with setbacks, even those moments of indecision.
Yeah, we can't forget those unexpected positives, those blessings in disguise.
Exactly. It's been a real deep dive into the richness of English idioms.
Absolutely. So before we sign off, I have a challenge for our listeners. Try using at least 3 of these idioms in your conversations this week.
I love that idea. See if you can slip them in naturally and notice how people react.
Yeah, it's a fun way to test your understanding and boost your confidence. And, hey, if you stumble a bit at first,
Yeah.
just remember, no use crying over spilled milk.
Exactly. Just bite the bullet and keep practicing. You'll be surprised how quickly these expressions become second nature.
And who knows, you might even discover some new favorite idioms along the way.
Yeah, the world of language is so vast and constantly evolving. There are always new expressions to uncover and explore.
So keep those ears open, those minds curious, and those tongues ready to try out some new phrases.
Happy exploring!